Good evening, everyone. Welcome to your council chamber for Monday, December the 2nd. I get the chance to start us out a little bit differently this evening. It's my opportunity to provide an annual address, kind of our mini State of the Union. There aren't going to be too many surprises this evening. It's a lot of stuff that's underway as we just crossed the midpoint of the term. But I appreciate the opportunity to provide council, staff, and the residents of Saanich with an update on some of the key activities we have underway. So I'm going to get that started, and I'm going to start, as we always do in a good way, by acknowledging that we're gathered on the homelands of the Lekwungen-speaking people, the Songhees and Kosapsim peoples, represented the Lekwungen-speaking peoples, and the Saanich peoples, the Sartlip, Paukachin, Sayout, Sakem, and Malahat nations, people who have stewarded these lands since time immemorial. And we are truly grateful that we have the opportunity to gather here. We're committed to celebrating the rich diversity of people in our community. We're guided by the principle that embracing diversity enriches the lives of all people. We all share responsibility for creating an equitable and inclusive community and for addressing discrimination in all forms. Now, before I get into the content of this evening's address, I want to acknowledge the passing of a colleague and dear friend to many folks at the district. Adam Flint passed suddenly in May of this year. Adam served in numerous capacities in his 15 years with Saanich, including in the role of communications advisor. And while Adam will most certainly be remembered for his contributions throughout his career, his greatest impact on Saanich was the gift of kindness and connection. He coordinated many charitable causes and was always the first person to raise a hand to help. His dedication, humor, and positivity were infectious, and we all miss him deeply. Adam brought a lot of passion and dedication to his work, as do all of our Saanich staff who've helped bring projects and initiatives to life. And tonight is going to be an opportunity to highlight some of that great work, as well as some of the great things that are yet to come. Now, I have the opportunity to provide some comments this evening, and I wanted to do things a little bit differently. It's a custom that the mayor reads a speech at the start of the council meeting in December. And I found it got a little bit stuffy, a little bit boring, not as engaging as I wanted it to be. So I asked our communications staff for a little bit of help to put a presentation together so it would be a little more engaging. And it's a work in progress. I'll admit that you might still find this a little bit stuffy and formal, but the idea was to make it less of a speech and something that was a little more interactive and interesting, that people could wrap their arms around and have a sense of their own, of what is happening in the district. Saanich is a growing community, and with good reason. We all know this is a highly desirable place to live, work, and enjoy the outdoors and raise a family. We take pride in our beautiful surroundings, our sense of safety and community, and the feeling that we all belong here. But the secret is out. Saanich is the place to be. Many folks see the opportunity to settle and build a life here, and they want to put down roots, as we've all done, and hope to see our own kids and our grandkids do the same. Just as those dreams and desires drive population growth, they inspire the district to do things that will ensure we can be a livable and welcoming community for years to come, so that we will continue to be a place where individuals and families can build a life and contribute to our thriving community. Now, a big part of that is creating homes. Saanich continues to work to create new homes to meet people's diverse needs at all stages of life and at prices they can afford. We're planning much of our future growth within centers, corridors, and villages, while also making strides to ensure a livable community with abundant services, that we are a livable community with abundant services, amenities, parks, and recreation facilities for people and their families to enjoy, while ensuring we protect our rural, natural areas and farmlands for future generations to enjoy. While residents will see some visible signs of that work taking place across this community, in 2024, a lot of that work was going on behind the scenes. We've worked hard to improve the areas where we have some control, namely our processes and our policy framework, and the removal of some barriers. What does that look like? Well, this year it's meant an updated official community plan, adopting the small-scale multi-unit housing zoning, and the rapid deployment of affordable housing. Ultimately, Saanich is striving to be a leader, not a laggard, in housing, and these changes are among the tools we're employing to get there. And a lot of this work is aimed at forming and refining our vision for the future, as we thoughtfully guide Saanich's growth over the course of many years and decades, while ensuring it remains a livable and welcoming community. Now, for the official community plan update, this is a plan that will shape our growth and change over the coming decades. It will guide us to create more homes for people while contributing to a more sustainable, livable community for everyone. It ensures Saanich continues to provide a high quality of life for our growing community. And it's a refreshed vision for our community, and we thank everyone in our community who's contributed and participated in the process to update this guiding document. Small-scale multi-unit housing is an update to our zoning and policy to align with the provincial changes. But it puts Saanich in compliance with provincial housing directions in a way that makes sense for our community. It sets our community on a path towards creating more family-suitable housing, like duplexes, triplexes, and multiplexes, places that are perhaps within reach for families to be able to put down roots in our community. It'll help us get more homes built and achieve some of the needs that have been identified in our latest housing needs report to ensure that more folks can find a home here. Finally, I want to highlight the rapid deployment of affordable housing. This is a very significant undertaking that Council implemented this year and has been carried out by our staff, and it's already paying dividends. Many residents and newcomers are struggling to find a suitable place to live in our community. As housing and rental costs continue to rise, so too has the demand for affordable, non-market housing options. We need bold, forward-thinking ideas to address this challenge, and we're doing our part to create more homes for low to middle-income earners by removing procedural and financial barriers for non-market housing. This program, the Rapid Deployment Program, will help housing providers move through review and approval processes much more quickly to break ground on these much-needed housing projects. We know that this approach is having its intended effect. In this year's Housing Targets Progress Report, Saanich reported that we've tripled the number of building permits issued compared to this time last year. And importantly, nearly 1/3 of those were for affordable non-market homes. Now let that sink in for a second. We approved as many affordable non-market homes this year as the total number of building permits that were issued the year before. That is a considerable mark of progress. I also wanted to acknowledge that Saanich received over $15 million from the CMHC Housing Accelerator Fund and an additional $700,000 from the province to support initiatives that plan for growth and ensure that our processes create more homes for people that meet their needs and at prices they can afford. Looking ahead to 2025, you can expect to hear more about family-friendly housing policy, where we will ensure that we're creating family-suitable homes that meet the needs for our growing community in areas that are supported by schools, parks, and services, including available childcare. And you'll hear more about that in the coming year. And Saanich recently provided direction, this council recently provided direction to identify and utilize Saanich-owned properties to create more childcare spaces and to look at zoning requirements that would be more permissive to allow the creation of more childcare in our community. We're moving forward with planning work to set a vision for our corridors, centers, and villages. This includes the Shelburne Valley Action Plan update, Tillicum-Burnside Center Corridor Plan, the Uptown Douglas Pre-Zoning and Network Design Project, and refining the Quadra and Mackenzie Plan. Now, I want to speak to this for just a moment. Council has received a lot of feedback on the Quadra and Mackenzie Plan, and I want to acknowledge that we've heard your concerns and suggestions. Early in 2025, staff will return to Council with an analysis of the feedback that's been received. It will be an opportunity for us to provide some direction on how we appropriately reflect changes based on that feedback and the concerns that have been raised before we move to finalize the vision for Quadra and Mackenzie. So I'd like to just acknowledge for folks that your concerns do not fall on deaf ears. My colleagues and I have heard the concerns that you've raised, and those concerns will be reflected in our approach going forward. Finally, there are a number of affordable and supportive housing projects that are in the early stages right now. And with ongoing support from senior governments, we anticipate these projects will open their doors to hundreds of newly affordably priced homes in the very near future. Now, why is all of this important? We need to provide more housing supply and choice, and that includes more affordable options. To give people choices to downsize in a neighborhood where they've built a life. To allow our kids and grandkids an opportunity to stay close to us, to come and visit for Sunday dinners, to build a life in this community just as we've done, to allow newcomers to settle and contribute to our vibrant community, and to meet provincial housing targets and address the growing need for housing that fits people's lifestyles and budgets. Just as this has been a big year for housing, it's been an equally big year for transportation. I want to highlight a few key initiatives aimed at making our travel routes safer and more convenient, no matter how you like to get around. The Road Safety Action Plan. I hear from Saanich residents every day that keeping people safe on our roads is a priority. In fact, it's one of the things I hear most frequently, particularly from parents and older adults. Some of the key documents guiding this work were adopted this year. In October, Council adopted Saanich's first ever Road Safety Action Plan, the first plan on Vancouver Island and one of the only in British Columbia. In 2022, the district adopted Vision Zero, and through the implementation of the Road Safety Action Plan, we're seeking to eliminate traffic fatalities and serious injuries while ensuring safe, healthy, and equitable mobility for everyone. No matter how you get around, whether you walk, bike, bus, or drive, we're committed to making Saanich safer for everyone. Our efforts to make roads safer are paired with our active transportation plan to make it easier and more convenient for people to make more trips using using sustainable modes of transportation. As more people choose to walk, bike, and ride the bus, improvements on our road make it easier and safer for them to get to work, school, and appointments. And then there's Shelburne. This project improves safety for all road users, improves access for people walking and biking, and ensures vital underground utilities to continue to function safely and reliably far into the future. We are finally nearing completion on Phase 2, south of Pear Street, and beginning the work on the final phase of the project between Garnet and Pear. We anticipate that work to be completed in 2026. And I know that can't come soon enough for the residents of the area. But when it's done, it will be a very impressive transformation of that corridor, which prior to the improvements was inhospitable to anyone who attempted to walk or bike on that road. It will now be a much more welcoming environment, and anyone who hasn't had the chance to walk in the Phase 2 section south of Pear Street down to North Derry, I encourage you to give it a try. It is beautifully finished and is really a very inviting place to spend time. In the coming year, we will adopt a traffic calming policy, which will guide investments in traffic calming measures that ensure our neighborhoods are safe places to venture out. We'll also see the fourth phase of implementation of our speed limit establishment policy, where we'll begin to turn our focus towards adjusting to 30K on our neighborhood streets. Now, those are the streets where our kids are playing hockey and basketball, where people are walking their dogs. Those are neighborhoods where people live. They're not thoroughfares where people need to cut through at high rates of speed. We'll also see the Albina-Tillicum Gorge Infrastructure Upgrade Project, Phase 1, get started in the midpoint of 2025. The objective of this is to upgrade the existing sanitary sewer network, and it will include improvements to make it easier, safer, and more enjoyable for people walking and biking in the area. Now, why does all of this matter? Well, we're working hard to improve infrastructure and provide safe, healthy, and equitable mobility for all. Now, this isn't easy work. We hear frustration about traffic delays and noise, and we get lots of questions about why we're doing this. I think about the many conversations and emails that this council has received from folks living in neighborhoods that lack sidewalks or more convenient connection to get to where they need to go. And these are folks who express the need for safer crossings for students and seniors who want to hop on a bike to get to the store, but don't feel confident navigating our roadways. Saanich has come a long way in terms of making improvements, but we know there's still a lot of work to be done, and we're approaching it in a disciplined way. We look forward to working with our partners and the community on these efforts. And you'll note this work is also significant in terms of helping Saanich reduce emissions and meet our climate targets. There's a slight delay in advancing the slide. Sorry if I'm pausing. There we go. And that's a great segue to something I want to share when it comes to climate action and environmental leadership. This year, Council endorsed Vancouver Island's first municipal biodiversity conservation strategy, supported by a technical committee of local experts and input from our residents. Council also endorsed a substantial update to the urban forest strategy from 2010. It's our plan to manage, protect, connect, and enhance the district's biodiversity and urban forest, tree canopy, and to meet our target of planting up to 10,000 trees per year. The most common thing that I hear from Saanich residents, and I'll tell you, Saanich residents are not a monolith. There is no single set of values, goals, or priorities that all Saanich residents share. But to a person, the thing that I hear most that they appreciate about living in this community is the trees. It's the green space. It's the parks. They value those spaces and prioritize investments that protect and enhance those important spaces to enjoy for future generations. And we're going to continue to do exactly that. I also want to highlight the Climate Action Exemption Program. This program is the first of its kind in BC. It encourages electrification projects in large multi-unit residential and commercial buildings in the community. It supports Saanich's climate goals and incentivizes the replacement of fossil fuels like natural gas, space heating, and domestic hot water systems with electric systems. Buildings are the second highest source of emissions in Saanich, and overheating is posing a growing health risk to occupants due to increasing frequency and severity of heat waves caused by a changing climate. We've seen tremendous acceleration in the number of fossil fuel to heat pump conversions in single-family homes in our community. This program allows us to broaden that focus. It brings the benefits of heating and cooling to residents in condominiums and apartment buildings, many of whom are renting in those places and wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity to take advantage of conversion programs. I also want to highlight the significant number of grants that Saanich has received in support of these initiatives. By leveraging more than $5.1 million in provincial and federal grants, we began construction on more climate-resilient and inclusive spaces at Perks and Cedar Hill Rec Centers. We've also received UBCM grants for 2 important climate resiliency projects, including nearly $400,000 for tree planting and green infrastructure on and around the Tillicum Elementary School to provide shade and stormwater management and to protect against extreme heat in partnership with School District 61. Planting more trees provides more shade and cooler neighborhoods in an area identified as highly vulnerable to extreme heat events, as well as absorb stormwater that prevents people's homes from flooding and reduces the likelihood of more costly infrastructure replacement. I got to get in the habit of pressing that button sooner. Design and construct, what's coming in 2025? Design and construction of additional charging infrastructure to support the electrification of our corporate fleet, a zero waste strategy to reduce the amount of waste our community generates and sends to the landfill, and eliminating waste can be a great way to conserve resources, protect our natural spaces, and avoid potential costly replacement of the Heartland landfill. We're also updating the climate plan. Saanich is developing a targeted update of our 2020 climate plan to revise our adaptation planning to incorporate lessons learned from extreme heat, storms, and wildfire events experienced since 2020, and respond to changing contexts, including the impact of COVID, inflation, technology, and changes to local and provincial policies related to climate change. And we'll build on the significant progress made to date in implementing the actions in the 2020 plan. A targeted update of the plan will allow the district to continue to demonstrate leadership in climate action and ensure we are prioritizing our climate action efforts from now to 2030. Oh, that time I hit the slide too soon. It's important that we steward the environment and work to protect it. We're seeking innovative solutions and practices to reduce emissions and mitigate for the future, which is ever more important as climate events continue to become more frequent and intense. We're also leading by example through municipal operations, and there's a lot of cross-departmental work in this regard. And through initiatives in the community and region as well, this includes many partnerships with our local government and local organization partners. We're also investing in our natural systems that help us deal with storm events and filter storm water that would otherwise cost Saanich taxpayers millions of dollars in hard infrastructure costs. A priority for this council and for the residents we serve is community well-being. And there's a lot of great work underway to improve community spaces, including Rutledge Park. This year, Rutledge was upgraded to include a brand new washerman change room building, modern playground and equipment, and a long-awaited splash pad. And I don't know if you know this, but I had the chance to go attend the opening of the splash pad, along with a lot of excited students from Cloverdale Elementary. And it was one of my best days on the job. I thoroughly enjoyed the opportunity to go and be part of that fun community activity, including singing a little bit of Taylor Swift with the Cloverdale students. That is a great new space, and I think it is indicative of the kinds of key investments we want to make to support our growing population and create family-friendly attractions in the district. Speaking of which, the McMinn Bike Park opened this year. The bike track has been refreshed to make it more exciting and to allow more ages and abilities to make use of it. Saanich Park staff work with the South Island Mountain Bike Society, or SIMS, to help design the new bike park layout. It's a great example of community and staff working together to deliver a great feature for kids seeking a bit of adventure. Let me try that again. There we go. In 2025, as our community continues to grow, we're prioritizing park improvements and creating new spaces for people and their families to enjoy. There'll be new tennis and pickleball facilities at Fowler Park, with 1 tennis court and 6 pickleball courts, which are being located and designed to minimize sound traveling. Panama Flats, which is much loved for its trails and nature observation and winter skating, is due for an update. It is the #1 birding area on South Vancouver Island and often home to a rare sighting of a bird out of its range that draws birders from afar. Updating the 2014 concept plan will help to accommodate evolving community and stormwater management needs while enhancing recreational and environmental opportunities. Engaging with First Nations, the community, and interested groups is key to updating the plan to reflect current community values, needs, and priorities. Lambrick Park, a key active recreation hub in East Saanich, and how we might imagine together what the future of that park could look like as our community continues to grow around it. We need to continue to provide quality community recreation spaces outdoors and indoors. We hope residents will engage in both of these important processes, setting us up for the future with a vibrant and healthy community where everyone belongs. Saanich's parks and recreation centers are such an important part of our community as they provide people with places to connect with family and friends and to stay healthy and active. The bike park enables visitors to challenge themselves, build new skills, socialize, and enjoy the outdoors. Ultimately, we want to ensure our parks and green spaces remain healthy and vibrant for people to enjoy now and in the future. By investing in amenities and services that contribute to our health and well-being, we also contribute to the high quality of life and quality of place that everyone enjoys. I skipped one. Yes, that's right. I'll give you a few highlights of ways that we're modernizing our processes and services. The Permitting and Application Modernization Program. This is a very significant cross-departmental initiative to where we're advancing organizational change aimed at streamlining the development process, optimizing business processes, introducing new technology, updating, reviewing our processing times, and tracking housing targets. It will bring more efficiency, consistency, and convenience for everyone involved. It is a very significant undertaking by our staff, but it is certainly providing us with a significant way forward in how our processes can be improved to facilitate faster, more convenient, and predictable reviews. We're also looking forward to we are enjoying the benefits of an upgraded council agenda management system, and we're introducing a voting dashboard that will make it easier to look up council votes on key issues. Saanich is connected to the BC Building Permit Hub. It's only the 4th district of 20 to do so. The hub supports municipalities and the development industry to standardize building permit submission requirements automatically, to automatically check the completeness of permit applications and automatically check compliance with key parts of the building code. We've also launched Hello Saanich, a brand new engagement platform to provide a new modern way for Saanich residents to reach out to Saanich on significant projects, along with a host of other tools that are making it easier to reach your district and your council. Finally, in 2025, we'll move forward with the borrowing approval process and selecting a private partner to support the redevelopment of the Saanich Operations Centre. This redevelopment ensures that the services our residents rely on, waste and organic collection, drinking water, storm and wastewater infrastructure, road maintenance and snow removal, truly the lifeblood of our municipality, are supported by a modern facility that allows staff to serve our growing community. All of these improvements make our internal processes more efficient for staff and improves efficiency and convenience for the public we serve. It increases transparency and ensures that Saanich is a service provider that is responsive to the residents we serve and that Saanich continues to deliver the high-quality services residents expect. Reconciliation and building relationships with Indigenous people and Indigenous communities. The district is committed to reconciliation and building and strengthening relationship with Indigenous communities and people in our region. Beginning in 2025, Saanich will onboard its first Manager of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation. This position will support the development of an Indigenous relations framework and plans to guide the district's government-to-government work, as well as influencing organizational culture, lead cross-organizational staff committees and relevant council committees, and work with council and executive in developing formal protocols and agreements, and more. On the economic development front, this year we had the Savor Saanich Flavor Trails program launched in July, boosting the local food economy by promoting local farms and food producers. By connecting communities to local farmers, growers, and makers, Flavor Trails contributes to the growth and sustainability of the local food economy, igniting community-wide learning of our regional food producers, and it gives people the chance to shake hands with the wonderful makers, farmers, and growers on our bustling agricultural landscape. One of the key activities in terms of economic development in 2025 that I want to highlight is the secondary corridors and hubs strategy. Now, you may be asking yourself, how did this end up in the economic development category? This planning initiative focuses on more modest street-oriented residential buildings with small local retail opportunities included. The strategy is a key feature of economic development as it sets out a vision for commercial spaces like coffee shops, restaurants, and pubs, and service providers like doctors' offices and pharmacies that are in neighborhoods where people can access them on foot or bike. I'm almost there, folks. The next slide, when it comes up, is going to talk about regional collaboration. Well, it did, and then I passed it. This year, your Saanich representatives were instrumental in moving forward with the creation of a regional transportation service at the Capital Regional District Board. This service will require voter assent in the new year and is a major step forward to achieving regional transportation planning and priority setting. Now, this is significant because it means for the first time, Your region can speak with one voice to advocate for transportation investments that will truly get people moving. The kinds of investments that we've enviously watched Metro Vancouver obtain over recent decades. Our region will now be in line to work with senior government partners in order to achieve that scale of mobility options for folks in our region. We're committed to the health, safety, and well-being of our region's unhoused residents. And Saanich can play a larger role in providing shelter beds and warming spaces within the district. We also are working with our regional partners on a regional approach to ensure our region has appropriate shelter, temporary, and long-term housing options for our unhoused residents. We will only be successful if we work together as a region. Finally, the Victoria Saanich Citizens Assembly kicked off in 2024 after several years of planning. From September 2024 to April 2025, the Assembly is meeting to learn and deliberate on the future of Victoria and Saanich and to explore the costs, benefits, and disadvantages of amalgamation. 48 Assembly members from Saanich and Victoria were randomly selected via civic lottery, ensuring fair representation of the municipality's demographic diversity. The Assembly's recommendations will be put to the voters in a referendum timed with the next municipal election. It will be the residents of Saanich and Victoria, not your council, that will make the final decision. Now, I know you thought the end was never going to come, but here we are. As we cross the midpoint of this council term, we do so with a lot of great work underway. Work that supports each of the strategic priority areas Council identified at the start of this term. Priorities that Saanich residents told us are important. It's work that supports a growing community with homes that give individuals and families the chance to put down roots in Saanich, where we all benefit from high-quality services and amenities like parks and green spaces and recreation facilities that contribute to our health and well-being and the high quality of life and quality of place we enjoy. I am grateful to all the members of this council, our staff, and the public that we serve for another year of work that makes our community even better. And as former Premier John Horgan would say, every day we do our level best. As we get closer to the end of 2024, I wish you all a happy holiday season, and I hope that you get to celebrate the traditions that are important to you and your loved ones, hoping that we're not already into 2025 as I near the end of this speech. Thank you very much, Council, members of the public and staff. I appreciate your indulgence to highlight some of the great things that are going on. Believe it or not, that was the short list. There's an awful lot of great work underway at the district, and I am so proud to have the opportunity to sit in this chair and work with this great group of people in order to lead it.